So a founder and an advisor to Yes We Can. It is an institute that provides training and capacity building. So a few hats that I'm wearing. And I've been working for the NGO sector for nearly 20 years. I started my career at a very young age, since I was 17 years old. Yeah, I started to work when I was 17, but I started to teach English when I was 13. So I'm an activist. Okay? So my passion is three. When I grown up, I realized that there are three things I wanted to do in my life. One is to be a teacher. That was my first interest in being a teacher, because back then I think teacher was, when I was young, I don't know anybody else was better than a teacher. Yeah? The teacher was highly respected. He dressed very professionally, and everyone respected teachers. But because teachers nowadays at school, like primary school, high school, in this government's funded or paid, they are paid very low. The salary is too low. So I cannot make my living as a teacher. So I was then, another passion I had was to become a manager of a company or of an institution. So second one was that becoming a manager or a director of an institution. Third dream was to travel around the world.
How many countries have you been to?
I've been to about 30 countries. Landed in about 30 countries, but traveling probably all over the countries, but landing in about 30 countries. So, three passion. One is to be a teacher. Two is to become a manager. And third is to travel the world. And I have accomplished all three. While I am not teaching at private or state schools, I do like teaching a lot. That's why I go to university and hold seminars to talk to students, because I wanted to do what I like to do. So most of the weekend I spend to speak to students, and that's why it's not difficult for you to invite me to speak to you, because this is one of the things that I like to do. So thank you for giving me a chance to do what I like to do. It makes my day very nice, right? Saturday, meaningful Saturday morning. So second, I have become a manager when in year 2003. I became a manager in 2003. So 10 years ago, I started to manage people with different organizations, with National Democratic Institutes, and then I moved to work for the World Bank as a program advisor, where I manage a multiple million fund, and then to UNDP, United Nations Development Program, and now I am the Director of Transparency International. So I'm probably a young bloomer, a very rare young bloomer, but I started my career at a very young age. So in terms of experience, nearly 20 years, but still I am still keen to learn. Now many people ask me, how can I do that? Because people in my age, now I am 34, okay, not very old, but in the middle. And I'm going to celebrate my 34 year in May, so nearly 34. People ask me, how can I accomplish so much at this age, going to work in top institutions like the World Bank and international organizations? And it's very difficult to explain, because it's so long. I used to be a seller of water lily when I was young. You know water lily? So every morning, because I was born in a poor family, Every morning at 4:30, very cold, I get into the pond, take the water lily, and then bring for my mom to bring it to the market to sell money. When I was 11 years old, I wanted to learn English, but my family cannot afford to pay for the fee. So I go and watch from the windows. I was really wanted to learn English, but don't have money. I have to watch through the windows. But one week, teacher noticed me that I am always there at the window with a little notebook and a pencil to write. So one day he gave the student exercise to do, and he walked out to try to reach me. So he approached me, and then I was so scared I ran away. He was following me, and he said, wait, you don't need to run. So I was running a bit, and then he was calling me, so I stopped. He asked me, why didn't I come in? Because he thought that I was interested. And why did I come to the class? I told him that I don't have money to pay for the fee. And then he said, okay, so we have some work for you, and in exchange to be studying for free. So he asked me to do 3 work. One is to come early and clean the table and the chairs, making sure that it is clean and organized. Second is to clean the boards, because at the time they used the chalks. Yeah, the chalks, not the pen like this. So I was a little boy, and then every time when I clean the board, all the chalks dropped on my hair, so it's all gray and white. Third job is to collect the fee from students at the end of the class. So I took that job very happily. 3 jobs: come early, clean the table and chairs, clean the board, and collect the money. In exchange, studying free. So that's how I started learning English. So people may confuse that I may come from a wealthy family, that's why I can do this kind of work, but it was not. So how can I make that? I think one is knowing ourselves. Knowing what we want is very important. A lot of people not really know what they want. They just say, oh, I want to be this, and then 2-3 weeks later, I want to be that, and then when they see their friend achieving something, oh, I want to be like him, and then the next month they see some friends become something, oh, I want to be like you, so they want to be like everything, not very focused. But I know myself what I want since I was 4 or 5 years old. Something that comes to me that I have embedded in my belief that this is how I grow up to be. So when you know what you want and you know your talents, you can link your talent with your passion. And with passion, you will overcome so many challenges in life, because it's not easy to achieve something. That's why if you love it, you are struggling to get it. Just like I struggle to become a manager, I struggle to get my position, and so I can travel around the world. People can pay for my travel. I don't have to pay any cents for my travel. 2 years ago, I have been traveling so much, but this year I promised my Cambodian people that I will only accept 30% of invitation to go abroad. And I only accept 30%, means I will reserve my 70% to speak to Cambodian young generation. So tomorrow I'm going to Vinh, talk to about 2-3 other students for free. And that is doing something that you like, doesn't have to be very expensive. Okay, so I'm just giving you a little bit of my personal background. So tell me what you want me to speak about. I heard Dr. Morgan, who invited me, say that you wanted to know about how the foreigners and investors perceive Cambodia and what can you do to create attractive perspective from foreign investors, right? If that is something that is relevant to your interest. Now let's have a dialogue, because I like to interact with you, so not just me talking, so that we can all have a dialogue. So now, one aspect that I would like you to tell me first before I speak is, based on your studies, what makes investor interested to invest?
Low labor cost.
One is low labor cost. Okay.
Market and economy.
Markets, stable economy. Yes.
Tax.
Tax. Okay. You mean
European and USA give the tax to company.
okay, tax exemption or some package or incentive, yeah? Incentive for tax. What else?
Our country is developing.
Yeah.
Our country is developing.
The status of the development of the country, yeah, the stability and growth. And you were talking about policies, favorable policy, yeah, policy that favor business. Very good. Anything else?
Opportunity.
Opportunities. Okay. Yep. All are those are big and important aspects. What else? Okay. Now you have talked about most of the important elements, but there is a few others that we haven't talked about, which is very, very important, especially for investors from European countries and from the Western countries. And that one is the corruption situation of the country. Some countries in European world and investor world, I give a few examples of, like, for example, the United Kingdom, Britain, yeah, the UK. The UK have a law that prevents their investor from paying bribes to public officials or anyone when they do business. Same case for the US, same case for Australia. And these are the few countries, but there are so many other countries that are implementing this country law, yeah, this national law. So people from those countries, when they look for opportunity to invest, one of the risks that they look at is how bad is corruption in those countries. Because if they pay a bribe to government to get license or to do the business, if somebody caught that as evidence, then that company is going to be in trouble, because people can sue them to close their business down. If they come from the US, they have problem there. If people watch and catch them paying bribe, right? They don't follow the law, and then the government will punish them. They will put the CEO of that company in trouble, either to pay a big fee or jail the CEO and dissolve the company. Same for the UK, and also this applies to Australian investors. So this problem in Cambodia, I think we need to consider it seriously. And at the moment, the government is trying to do something about it. We know that the anti-corruption unit has been established. The anti-corruption law was adopted in 2010, but corruption in the country has become so systematic. It become culture. So to fix this problem, it's gonna need quite a long time, and it's going to need people's participation very actively. So soon, this is what I am working with government also, is to publish a public fee for all services, right? So in the next few weeks or a month, you will see a book that combines all the fees at different ministries. Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Energy, Culture, all the services will be published. And that will give you what service is all about and how much does it cost and how long does it take. How long does it take to get certain service. Before, the official like to pressure investor to pay a bribe, right? They said if you don't pay a bribe, it will take 3 months, 4 months. And then the investor need to do their business quickly, right? So they are pressured to pay a bribe under the table, or usually in dollars. This is a problem. But when the publicly is established, we call bribe payer index. Yeah, bribe payer index around the world. And there are 2 countries that pay bribe the most to do their business outside of the country. The first country on the list is China. The second is Russia. Yeah? So these 2 countries, they don't care about corruption. In fact, they wanted to use corruption to take advantage. Yeah? They know how to bribe. And when the country know how to take bribe, it's easy. They can do business very well. And they can work it for their advantage. But many of the companies from European and from some countries in Asia and also in the Western countries, they are allergic to corruption. Because not only that they cannot do business well, but they will be in trouble if people catch them paying bribe. Their company will be collapsed. So this is a big risk. Now, this is number 1. Number 2, add to what we just said, is the legal framework. Because when a company comes, they want to ensure that legal framework give them guarantee, right? If they run into any disputes, they want to solve their case with a very independent court, right? But now we have a problem in our court also. That the court are not independent, and the court are very heavily interfered by politics. So when company run into a dispute, they don't know how to resolve the problem. If they go to court, the people who have more money or with connection to the powerful people can always win, right? So this is also a concern of the investor. Some countries, they have the special court for business. They set up a very special court to deal with trade and private companies. But in Cambodia, we don't have that special court yet. So when we don't have that special court, what the company will go to when they have conflict is to go to the arbitration council first. You know the arbitration council? Arbitration council, it's the first thing they go to. But the arbitration council doesn't judge, they only facilitate, right? They facilitate problems and they talk to different parties and try to facilitate to find a solution. If they cannot find a solution, the next step is to file to the court. And you know the court in the country, in our country, is not yet good. A lot of problem in the court. The judge take bribe, asking for payment, and the lawyer chip the money from all sides. Sometimes you have politician influence from the top, telling, oh, this is our, big man, you have to protect him, he has to win the case. So this is another concern, in Cambodia. Is the independent, the court, and the legal framework. Okay. Third one is the competitiveness. Because every good investor will look into competitiveness. That's another element to consider. If they have a fair rule for the game, right? Fair rule for the game means government provide a fair opportunities, that you say, opportunity for all investors. For them, they can come up with their strategy to compete. But sometimes they cannot compete with that because government takes sides some company, right? If government have some shareholder in some company, or if some wealthy people very close to the government, they have all the advantage for competition. They know information, right? They know market, they know everything. Then the company who come without having connection with the big guy will always have less advantage in the competition, right? And those countries sometimes, and I'm talking overall, not just Cambodia, I'm talking all developing countries I've been to. In those countries, sometimes the politician or the government leaders try to protect them to run business. So that when their business make a lot of money, this company will give some money to the government and to the politician, right? Just like, so they protect these big guys so that they can run the company, everything. And when this company make money, they take some money, give it to government. So it's like this. This is very concerning for investor because there's no fair competition. Let's say if you have 6-7 big who have close connection to the top government and they will own everything, many companies will come to die, will lose because they cannot compete, right? So that is another challenge that we need to look at in the country. So, question please.
You said because of the rational fair competition, that's why the investors from foreign countries they are afraid to invest in Cambodia.
Some of them are afraid, yeah.
How about in China? China is also the country that has like a lot of corruption, but their business, the way that they do business is still like developing. So what is the difference between China and Cambodia?
Good. I think China is a unique country. China people like to invest in China because of the numbers of consumers. So many people. When there are so many people and when their income level is good, you tend to have a lot of customers, regardless of what kind of business you are dealing with. So the advantage of China is that they have the second largest population. When there are more people, you can have more chance to succeed in business. But Cambodia, I think the number one investor for Cambodia is from China currently, number one. And number two is from Vietnam in terms of business. There's so many business from China and Vietnam. But if you look at people from the European countries, not many. From the US, there are very few. And they have to be very, very careful. Some of them are in trouble now because some people are filing complaints against them. For example, Coca-Cola. Yeah, Coca-Cola recently is facing some challenges because Coca-Cola purchased sugar cane from Cambodia. And some of those land that grow the sugar cane used to be a land owned by the people that were evicted. So some advocates who have evidence, have evidence that there is human rights violation, they filed a complaint to the head of the Coca-Cola. Now they have to investigate. So company that can succeed in a corrupt environment can make a lot of money, but in a short time. But they will run away after they grab the money, they will run and then someone new will come. This is the practice in the country that has systematic corruption. There's no long-term investor who could be there for so long. They may come, do business for a few years, and when they reach their benefits, they put in their basket and run, right? Then someone come and start a new one. Because they know that if they stay for a very long time, people will touch them with their practice and some illegal things, and they will be in trouble. So I would call them the opportunist investor. Yeah? They don't care. They don't care. They come, they see opportunity, they get to talk to the government and then pay bribe. When they agree to each other, they do something, and then when they make business, they look around, well enough, let's go. So there are so many companies come in for a few years and then they go. New group come and then they go. So many of this business. But this is not sustainable. Okay? I told you it's not sustainable. This way of practice is not sustainable. It only make profit in a period of time, but it's not going to be sustainable because people will benefit only when the company presents, and when they're gone, you have some problem in the markets and some issues of employment also because they close their office and they go and someone come back again and start something new. They make money then they go. There are so many of these practices in the country that is systematically developed. But you're right about China. They are unique because of the numbers of populations that can help. But still, it is not sustainable. China now is also in a very challenging period. The new party leader, Xi Jinping, is arresting many people because of corruption. He put some minister in jail and many other senior officials in jail because that problem is going to hurt the economy in China. It only survive in a short time but not sustainable. Countries that are so corrupt, and I've been to those countries like Egypt, Tunisia, Syria, Afghanistan, when the corruption is so much, the people angry become very high. And when the people anger become very high, they cannot relax. They will go to protest. They will go to demonstrate. And many of these countries turn into revolution. If you watch the news, you will see Tunisia, right? Tunisia revolution, Arab Spring. In Egypt, when I was there in Egypt 4 weeks ago, I was the chair of the delegation from Transparency International. They have 2 presidents in jail now. Mubarak was in power for 30 years. When the people get so angry, they know something wrong and they share through Facebook and everyone come on streets. Millions of people come on street to protest, and then the military have to take Mubarak out of the presidency, put him in jail, right? Okay. New president were elected, Mohamed Morsi, through election. But people accuse him of having religious affiliation with a terrorist. So when people see that, they come on street again. Many of them are youth. Come on street again, military put Morsi in jail. Now 2 presidents in jail. When I was there, the country was under the military leadership. And I stayed in the hotel. I could hear gunshot every 10 minutes, just somewhere near me. When I walk, I need to have bodyguards to go with me so that I feel safe. So those kind of countries that have so much corruption and the government don't do anything about it, one day people get angry and they will try to challenge the government, and often it turns violent, it turns uprising, and worst case it comes as a revolution. But what? We don't want Cambodia to go through this. We know enough. Our country has been through many civil war, many problems, yeah, in the history. So it's part of our job as the young generation to help prevent Cambodia from falling into this path again. And the only way we can do that is from all sides. People to participate in promoting transparency and in improving justice, social justice. From the people side and from the government side, they need to clean up corruption. And I advise the government the same way I talk to you. Because I see this happen in many countries. If you don't do anything about it now, I'm afraid that 5 years or 10 years, people may turn, into this. Why would we wait and see it happen? Because it's going to destroy our country. No country that goes through revolution can prove that they go to develop quickly after that. It pushed back 20 years before it goes forward again. Right? So please help me and help our young generation to prevent that from happening.
So how can they, as students, like, can contribute to this like initiative? Like,
Yes.
What can they do?
Right, right. Okay, very good question. What can you do to help? And I actually have a full slide of it, but I just talk briefly. One thing you can do to help is not to commit corruption yourself, number one. Don't pay a bribe, okay? And it's not from yourself. And this is something you can do. Now, many of us, we have to admit, many of us, we are very easy to pay bribe when people ask us to. We don't ask, right? If you are stopped by the police, and the police tell you that, oh, you run through a red light, or you make the wrong turn, then the fee to fine you maybe 5,000 real or 3,000 real only. But the police ask you for 10,000. And you never know, and you just pay. That's one thing. Because we are very easy to pay bribe, then the official would like to use that to continue to collect bribe. So number one is that you need to promise with yourself not to pay a bribe. And not to take a bribe. Not to pay, not to take a bribe. And three, you need to help promote the value of integrity. You know the word integrity? Such as here. It's more from honesty, integrity. Promote that value in your school, at home, in your family, in your community. Number four, you need to also commit. In many countries they do this. The people sign a pledge. They said, I will not support politicians or leaders who are found to be corrupt. When they say that, then the politician will clean up themselves. Okay? If I want people to vote for me, I need to be clean. I need to be seen as a people with integrity, right? Many countries, in Korea, I went to Korea, young people are signing a pledge. 1, 2, 3, I will not pay a bribe, I will not take bribe, I will not commit corruption. I will share this value of integrity with my friend, with my colleague, with my clubs, with my family. I will not vote for candidates or leaders who I think are corrupt. Right? And the last one they said, I will not consume products or services from companies that violate human rights or found to be corrupt. So when many people signed those pledges, the companies started to clean up themselves. And the candidates started to clean up themselves. Because if you know that this candidate is so corrupt, now he ran for election, people in those countries will not vote for them because they know that these people are corrupt. So that you will create a new generation where people give you values on integrity. Now this day, unfortunately, people give value on materials and money. Yeah? How cool is your iPhone, your smartphones? What kind of car you are using? Are you having an updated Apple? You have a diamond ring ears? You have a lot of money? People value those things too much. When people value material too much, human value has decreased automatically. Agree? So when people give too much value on material and money, human value has dropped. Because people will do so many things to exchange for money, even though it's very dirty, even though some people traffic human beings. But because they think human is nothing like animals. So sell them out, get money. So if you listen to the Radio Free Asia a couple of days ago, they do an investigation of one case of Boracay. A woman who used to live in Boracay was kicked out because company wanted to develop, right? They take the land and they develop and then they kick the people out. And a lady who used to be a tailor, tailor? Yeah, tailor. She has the tailor at her home and she can make some money to feed her kids. But when the company stopped her from the land and kicked her out, they give her the land at near Phnom Penh. Yeah. And those bulldozer, bulldozer, destroy all the equipment, the tailor machine, everything is gone. So as soon as they will move to Phnom Penh, have nothing to do, no business, no jobs, no income, and nothing to feed. She lived on a charity support from some organization. So she came back to Phnom Penh and became a prostitute to make money. Prostitute. She sit near the South restaurant. Go to that Radio Free Asia and you find the story. When I read the story, I cried because it's so painful that you destroy a life of human, in that way. So she became a prostitute to earn money to pay for debts and pay for her kids. And then eventually her sister had to do the same thing because her sister felt sorry for her older sister. She wanted to help. And the three sisters become prostitutes because of that. So what kind of development is this? So some of those things we have to look at and then by the human rights and values of doing business. Those cases happen. And if you are investor in the future, make sure you have corporate social responsibility. Yeah? They call it CSR. It's corporate social responsibility. You can make your success, you make a company successful, but don't harm other people. And if you harm someone, you repay. Yeah? That is possible life. I spent 3 years to write a book called Success and Meaning of Life. It was released a month ago. So if you are interested, it's only $3.5. If you buy it from a cheap place, but if you go to a very modern library or like a bookstore, IBC or PBC, it may cost you $4.5. They make $1 as a profit. But this book took me 3 years to write, and it shares all my experience from my very young age until now, how I managed to get into my career, how I grow up in my career and become who I am today. So I have done my job as I promised to young people. And many of them read now, about 2,000 people have already bought the book, and I'm going to order a new version.
So how did you find inspiration as well as motivation to do the stuff that you've been doing ever since you were young until now? So so that maybe our student can also learn something how can I find my passion?
Yes.
Inspiration and motivation to do this.
Right. Okay, very good. Just give me 1 second to open my computer. I want to look from the exact content I want to talk. Okay, number 1, inspiration from someone who you believe are your hero and good models. So that is the first thing I do. When I grow up, I learned some people that inspire me a lot. One of them is Mahatma Gandhi, Buddha, right? He was born as a prince. He lived his life in the nice condition royal palace. He got married at the age of 16 years old. His wife is also 16. But then, at the age of 29, this prince walked out of the palace with a mission to find truth. And then 6 years later, from the books that people write about Buddhism, I actually practice. I practice some of those what he teach. I actually have this one, but it cannot be put up. So I'm going to tell you just to get to the question that you asked for. People can be inspired by some, by something that's butterflies. I always butterfly flying around. And I asked her, where are these butterflies come from? And she told me it comes from their parents. I said, where are their parents come from? And she said, comes from grandparents. Where did grandparents come from? And she said, grandparents. And that's all she knows. And I said, oh yeah, no, I know. Just like human beings. And she said, yes, just like human beings. They have grandmother, grandfather, great-grandfather like you. So I was like, oh yeah, that's all I know. Before it becomes a butterfly, it goes through so many stages of transformation. Forms and change color and becoming in the shell, and then you remove the shell and then it becomes a butterfly. So as I told you earlier, this was my life at my young age. Collect water with me, be on the butterfly and dreaming of flying the airplanes. When you see the buffalo and the dogs and the boy, it was like my scene when I was young. So this one reminds me of a bird that say, please fly. And this is of course my career. I moved so many different titles in the last 18 years. And then I told people that I can fly. Just like a butterfly. This is on top of the Himalaya mountain in Nepal. Don't have a line. So this is my character. I like to do something big to transform. But when a prince, Suttota, who was the Buddha when he was young, left everything to walk into the jungle and then shave his hair and learn everything and become a Buddha. It's inspiring me a lot. Why this man did it? Yeah, but not many people can do that, of course. But many people can become enlightened like him. If you go through some study and doing some meditation until you transform your mind, you will become like him. But many people cannot start how to do that. It took him 6 years. Just lots of sacrifices. So answer to your question, inspiration. One thing you can do is to learn some of the role model and read their biography and understand why they do that, what happened. And then find yourself, what do you want to become? This is a very important starting point. The question is, most people don't really know what they want to be. I asked many of young people, do you know yourself? Yes, my name is Charya. I studied first year at this school, that school, and my parents is this and that. They said, yeah, I know yourself. But I asked again, what is your life vision? What do you want? What is your purpose of life? I don't know. I just study and then let's see if I finish study and find a job. And I asked them, do you know your passion? What really feel that you love the most? Oh, sometimes I love this, sometimes I love that. It depends on my emotion. But I see this, I am happy with it, I love it, and then the next day I see something else, I'm happy, I love it. You see people lost, they don't really know. But if you know very well, it's your blueprints in life. You get to be special in something. Everyone is born with talent. And two men who is using his passion very well. Let me find this item. These two men who use his passion so well. These two men, I think you all know him.
Steve Jobs and Bill
Bill
Gates.
Gates and Steve Jobs.
Yep.
These two men drop out of schools. And I don't recommend you to do the same. It's your degree. But I'm telling you why he is successful. He knows his passion and how he uses his talent. So when you use your passion and talent, you don't have to get master degree or PhD. You can still become great human. So with passion and love, it can get you to do the best. You never work a day because you're just playing with it, like you love it so much. So everything is very difficult, but if you love it, you will commit to it. Everything comes out of love. Many things that comes is coming from love. If you don't have love to your work, if you don't like what you do, what you will do is you look at the clock, either on the wall or on your hands. Time to go home, when it's 5 o'clock, when it's 7, when it's 12. So people who don't like what they do usually love to watch the clock. So that is different. So having passion, knowing what your passion is, and then the next step is you prepare your plan for life. And that's what I do all the time. My plan has always been clear to me, what I want to do every year and what I want to achieve. So I do planning like this. I put actions. First my goal, okay, what I want to achieve. And then the dates, the date I wanted to do it, year or time, the expected result I wanted to see it be achieved. And then what are the possible challenges? And then how do I mitigate or resolve those challenges? Now many people said to me, we need to build a plan for a project. If you want to be successful in business, have a business plan. If you want to be successful in project, have a project plan. Right? That's all you are taught at schools. But how many people say, if you want your life to be successful, have your life plan? Yeah, most people forget that they need to have a life plan also. A planning for your life. Have your goal clear, what you want to achieve in 5 years, in 10 years, or 3 years. And then you put another layer to say, in order to reach that goal, I have to do A, B, C, D, and E, X. If I do it, when would I do it? And if I do this, how would I achieve things? What are the obstacles that I need to think about? When you put all of that down and you are clearly put in your head, things become very easy. Now I achieve all my 3 dreams. Being a teacher, yes, I'm doing. Being a fly. On the 23rd, I'm going to Manila, speak to the ISAC community from Asia Pacific, young people. They invited me to talk in Manila, even on the 23rd, 24th, 25th. Talk about youth to business. I don't know if you know about this event in Manila. I only know when they invite me to speak. But because they so this is basic steps to go, is to know yourself, plan what you want to achieve, and then execute your plan. I keep reading inspirational books. Read books, okay? Read good books.
In your, vision in the next 5 years, do you think that the drama Cambodia can do more in order to attract more good investors? like nowadays you can see that the trend of the like Japanese investor are coming pouring into Cambodia. I think it's a good sign that a good investor like Japanese people are coming. So I'm not sure whether the government have something or maybe to try any new mechanism in order to attract those investors. But if the current situation of corruption have improved, or what are the other reasons that those investors are coming to the market?
Good, very good. I think now the government is under pressure to do that. This cannot be right, I know. The pressure is like this. Let me show you this chart. And I think that will help you understand. So the government is not only in pressure to respond to the investor, but to respond to the people. So that's why you see Prime Minister speaking every time about corruption, right? You have to clean yourself, you have to look at the bureau. Now they wanted to give money, salaries to the bank, and then soon you will see public fee, yeah, posted everywhere. And then you will see, the company, this is government, what the government is doing. Now, this is the pressure that the government has, and I'd like to share it with you. I don't know if you can read it, but it's very small. Now, the question asking the people every year is, do you think the country is heading toward the right direction or the wrong direction? They ask the people, right, to rate. So from year 2002, 2006, up to year 2011 in December, perspective of people are similar. Okay? About 80% of the people say the country is headed toward the right direction. So similar. But in November 2013, it started to change. Now only 55% of the people say the country is heading toward the right direction. And 43% say it's headed toward the wrong direction. Now the people who say the country is headed toward the wrong direction because they say number one issue is corruption. Yeah? That is the main reason. And the ruling party, CPP, lost so many votes because of corruption. So now, with that pressure, the government is now trying to get back the people's confidence. So you will see more and more of some measure. Now, in 2006, students who study at high school used to study about corruption. There is a subject about corruption in grade 10 several years ago. I mean about 7 years ago. And I know that because one of my staff who studied at high school showed me that the textbook with corruption, what impact, and so on and so forth. About 4 pages. And then later on the government take it out. Take out that subject. And I went to ask, why? I asked government, I asked retired teacher, I asked people. They said, I cannot tell you the reason why, I don't know. It's the order from the top. It's the people there don't want it to put. But I'm still curious. I wanted to know why people take out that subject, right? And then one old man who's now about 70 years old. I cannot name him because he loves me not to name him. He used to work in the Ministry of Education, and he was the one who had put that subject into the curriculum. But then it was taken out. I asked him, why did they take it out? It's so important to teach people about that. And then he said to me, if you put that there, the children is going to point finger at the parents. They will know about corruption and then they will start to point finger at the parents. Like that, what you're doing is not good. So they take it out. That was the reason. Now they put it back again. the government put it back. The Prime Minister said you have to put it. Now we are working together with the government. I am also working with him to put this back more substantial, more comprehensive subject in high school, 10, 11, and 12 grades. So this year, from late 2014, you will see anti-corruption subject included in schools. That's the beginning. It's going to take some time. But I think government now in pressure to do it, and when the government do it more and more and more, I think we will get some more confidence from investor. Because the investor cannot expect you to clean corruption overnight, right? But if they see you are doing something about it, yeah, you have prevent them, you have promote transparency, you have give confidence to the investor, more of them will come. And then to clean everything up is going to take at least 15 years. If everyone participates, so I also count on the people to participate. If the government only do alone and people keep paying bribe every day, it's not going to happen. Yeah? So I think it's going to get better, but it's going to take quite a long time. Now the government say I cannot arrest every corrupt people to put in jail because not enough space in the jail. Right? So many corrupt people, if you put everyone in jail, you have no space in the jail, and then people say, oh, human rights violation, overcrowded, no place to sleep, no food to eat. So we have to educate people, and we have also to put some measure to prevent it. For example, at the Costco, at the airport, when the Thai foreigner like an agent come in and then he look at you as an agent, the police starting to ask for money, $50, $50. Yeah. Now, every time I come to the airport, the police officer know me. Every time I come, I look at them. They don't take money. No, they like doing the right thing, and then when I pass through, they look at me and then they'll do it again. So I told the anti-corruption, you need to put a camera, a video camera, right? Now they put it. So when they put the video camera, this official no longer dare to take the money. So you have to put some measure to do, because people like to steal. Money is like honey. They stuck to them until you put some measure to stop. And also another problem is the salary of the civil servant is too low. Like teacher, teacher now, they get paid $80, primary school, and they collect money from kids. 1,500 euro or something like that. And sometimes they sell snacks. That's why I cannot become a teacher. That's why I choose to work in the different sector, but I still like teaching. So I honor my passion of being a teacher, to teach also about different arrangements. Yes?
In order to tackle corruption issues, whether we should do it from the top or from the bottom, whichever way is more effective or more efficient. In your opinion?
Very good question. I got this question from many people. I think the best way to do it is to do from the top. First, yeah. The best way to do it is to do from the top. Then you set good example for the people below to follow. But you need to also to work from bottom up also. But the first step is from the top. And we have so many challenges now. Because the top, many of the top, they practice corruption as like way of life. So I understand it's very difficult for the government. It's like bones, flesh, meat, skins. So if you take everyone on the top out, you will collapse. So there's a political issue up there that we cannot do it. But I can tell you that most of the people in Cambodia have either experienced paying bribe or accepting bribes. Maybe some of you also may have done that. We just have to be honest with ourselves. Yeah? So everyone has fallen. But forget about the past. Going forward, we need to clean up. And we have a job to clean up ourselves. Okay?
Let's have one last question, and if you have any questions, you can ask it. So before I come into Cambodia, I always heard it's part of the culture. Business is always relationship based in mostly Southeast Asia. So how can we define between bribery and between when you invited your business partner to go out for dinner or you bring in gift for them? Because as a truly generous courtesies that you actually want to do to their family as part of the business culture instead of just as bribery as well.
Well, yeah, it's a very good question. It's very complicated. We need to look at it as how between the two persons, right? If you are inviting your friends to go out as part of your social networking, friendship, and of course this is normal, this is fine. But if you are going to have a contract with that person, right? You are putting a bid in. You are applying for something, yeah? And then you are in the process of waiting for a result. And then you invite that person to go out and make treatments or drinks or giving them some incentives, gift, whatever. That is about corruption. If you have something to do with that. Okay? So it's very creative. But if you just invite them for a social kind of gathering with friends, have a chat, have a drink, and exchange gift at a special event like New Year's, small gift, yeah, that is okay. In many countries, they put limits of how much you can give as a gift. Yeah, legal gift. Some countries they say $20 only. Yeah, if anything beyond that is considered illegal. Some countries they put 50 euros as a acceptable gift. But Cambodia, we don't have those laws yet. Some have the minister have the wedding for their kids, and then someone go to him with a key of Range Rover. Yeah, new Range Rover key, $10,000 US, or a Lexus, something like that, and this is acceptable. It's no problem. But this is part of corruption. If you pay that, it must be something special relationship that you can afford to give, right? It's no free lunch. Yeah? That is the word, right?
No free lunch.
Now I come to you. You said I come to you for free. No, it's not free. I come to you, I benefit something from you. Number one is that I am able to share with you what I wanted to share with you. Number two is that I got some breakfast. And then I am able to do something that I like to do. So it's not free. For me, it's like that. So every transaction has some purpose. But if social gathering, friendship gathering, that's fine. Except any hidden agenda behind. And only you know wherever, right? Only you or the people investigating you who know wherever. Why you invite that person and why you give that car key? Why you give that money? It must be something. So anyway, I think that's about the end, right? So how many of you are my friends on Facebook? 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, so many. Right, I am being followed by about 70,000 young people that I'm very, very happy with. Because I share my perspective almost every day on my page, and some of them are, I hope, inspirational, and some are educational, some can be controversial, but it depends on how we take it, yeah? I like to share. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and please feel free to talk to me again. come for another session, either at the topic ASEAN integration, advantage, or whatever. I'm happy to speak because this is one of the things I like to do.
I think we should get the book first, read the book, and then maybe invite Mr. Booker to come back for a second time. Maybe like we have some questions after we read the book.
Yeah.
And maybe we have the honor that we can get switching the book as well.
Exactly. If you like reading, I recommend you to read the book. It's only $3.5.
What's the title of the book?
It's now, unfortunately, it's not Khmer.
Oh,
The English one will be already in 3 months. It's now being translated. But now we have the Khmer language available. So I target mainly Cambodians, so it's like it's studied in Khmer language. And if you read it and then you feel like it's useless, you return the book, you get the money back. It's 100% guarantee. So I put my effort for 3 years to write that book. I believe that it helps give people inspiration. So find it out. If you want the original price, give me a call, and then I'll try to bring it to the original price. I'll bring it with me. Yes.
Because our government wants to get, very big and starting investment company, because we want to know how they inject the economy, how they operate the company in Cambodia. And then we are going to get reliable information and then publish out to everyone. Because we can get those information to, teach or to let everyone know about the business that the international company comes to Cambodia. One more, we want to get this information to attract the investor from foreign countries. So as you have said, because of we have like corruption or something like that. So do you know what kind of thing that we should do in our work in the club to have the exact points that we can affect those investors?
So you wanted to play a role as a Cambodian's representative
Yes,
to ensure and attract investors in the business.
especially in 2015.
Yes. Okay, so what you can do is you need to study the government policy. You can talk to the Ministry of Commerce. Yeah, first to get a paper that talk about policy for trade and business. Yeah. With that, you can highlight the point that you think is important to tell to the investor. Because the investor, they also don't have enough information, so it's good for you to also put that together in a simple language. And also you need to ensure the investor that just be honest, because they know that we have some problem about corruption, but the government is now working to tackle it. And then you can talk a little bit about what the government is doing, right? Promote public fee, right? Transparency and all of those kind of things. Because, as I said, some companies are very allergic to corruption. And those are big companies. Not the one that come and then branding business and then run away, run the business. We want a company that come in for 20 years, right? And that is giving jobs, giving economic growth and benefit to society, and transfer skill to Cambodians. We haven't had that company yet. We want company who come long term, build big business, employ thousands of people, and importantly transfer skills to Cambodia. So that they become entrepreneurs, they become, skilled people also for our country. But now if you look at Chinese investors, some of them are coming so quickly. 2 years that they grab profit and then they run, someone come back and do something else, and then they go back. Not very sustainable. And when I say that, I apologize. I'm not anti-Chinese or anybody. Excuse me if you feel offended by that. Yeah? But this is the reality that you see. Because I've been watching Cambodia every day. So I know different angles. Politics, economy, aspect of poverty, human rights. I do all this analysis, and that's why I know so many problems. But investors from China also have economy. We have to admit that. But it only have some part of it.
not sustainable. And the people at the lower level, like vulnerable people, are also affected by that. So we need to balance it. The country can only be peaceful and sustainable if the growth benefit everyone. If the economic growth only benefit a few people, you will have some problem in social justice issue. Cambodia now is in that situation. Small number of people at the top benefit from the growth. The rich become richer, but the poor getting poorer. This is a big problem, and I need you to fix it together with me maybe in 10 years or 15 years. That's why we keep exploring opportunity. Thank you everyone. Have a nice evening. And this is the
Really? Oh, no.